That's an accident waiting to happen for a guy like me. So that's a great riff. I don't know what that is. I want to know what that is.
I don't know what I did.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing marvelously well. I'm sitting here with Mr. Trey. Now, wait there. Are you Xavier?
I say Xavier.
Xavier.
I know a lot of people who say Xavier, and it's not even. I don't think there's even a right way. I think it's very possible that I've been saying it wrong with a hard k, like everything else you say.
Trey Xavier.
Yeah.
Or Xavier. 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 It all works for me. So we're talking about this off camera. I do. I'm a guitar player, but of course I do mainly recording videos. But obviously when I'm demoing stuff, I pick up the guitar. In this instance, your guitar, and you have mine. This is rather lovely. This is like, talk about slinky. This is like,
yeah.
I pick up the guitar a lot, and I have read quite a few comments saying, hey Warren, that's really cool. You're playing the lick again. You're playing that lick that you play. Hey, you know that lick that you played? You played it again. I've probably only read that about 7,000 or 8,000 times. So one of my favorite ones is to go and do it all the way up the neck and go. And it's like, it's super fast and I know it really well, but on every single thing I've ever demoed, I go.
Yep.
It's like, oh yeah, it's really cool. And I think that's one of the licks that I get criticized for playing. And it's okay, I understand. So the question is, you got some more licks for me?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
got some
help
more
me
licks
out?
for you.
Can you help me out?
If nothing else, I can give you the licks that I play that are the same thing that I do over and over again.
Good, those will be new ones.
And they'll be new to you.
Perfect. Love
and
it.
then people will be like, hey, isn't that the Trey Xavier lick? Yeah, well.
Wait, are you from Geek Out?
I got a couple of those. Oh, this
Geek
whole
Out.
thing? I am indeed. So I'll show you one that I do a lot. It's probably a result of having studied too much jazz in college. Which sounds just pretentious coming out of my mouth, even saying it. In the comments section, often refer to it as the lick, like the Adam Neely. It's not that.
Play that one again.
Yeah. You'll notice all diatonic, no chromatic notes. And then I play this thing. Something like that. And they're like, oh, he played the lick. Or like, you could do it. Anything in that sort of vein. All I'm doing is, okay, so like, those are the chord tones, right? All I'm doing is walking in between the two chord tones, either ascending or descending. Yeah, so walking between the third and the fifth. I just slide into that third. Sliding into third like in baseball. And Nick Johnston does this a lot too, like just adding in little chromatic notes to spice it up.
What chord do you play over
there? So that's like a B flat, B flat minor. Or you can think of it like C sharp major. Here, you play me a C sharp. So I'm climbing from the root and then the ninth. I'm just adding a little. Yeah. So
nice.
You can use that in just about any context to take a more basic scalar run or an arpeggio thing,
right,
and just give it a little extra pepper. You know what I mean?
Little pepper.
Just a little
chili sauce.
Yeah.
I like that. I like both of those. So I got this one. So. I like that, and then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And, I like to kind of mix it up with the typical blues. licks, right? And then so if we're in A, right? Ye old blues and pentatonic shape, right, is right here on the 5th fret.
Yep.
If we go up, take our first finger and scoot it up to the 3rd of the scale.
Yep.
Then we can do this thing. Yeah. Ye old blues dad, right? Blues lawyer lick. And then yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait. What did you just hold the presses? Start the presses. What did you just do there?
Once you've hit sweep picking, it's all over.
I'm not. Yeah, I know like three sweepy things.
Oh well, that was only 2 sweepy things.
Well, okay.
Just moved around.
2 new ones.
So
Okay, how do you do that?
no, it's the same one you played. Yeah. So that's the minor version, right? Ye old minor sweep.
Yeah.
And then I went up. I went ascending on this one. And if you go down, you can very smoothly transition into a descending major one, thusly. Yeah. Now I like to, for the turnaround, yeah, pick it. Yeah. And then you can go down and... Yeah, but do a major one. If you want to make it Spanishy.
Okay.
Make it sound Spanish. Yeah, so... Yeah. So
fantastic.
That's just a couple little noodles for your soup.
I love it. I love it.
Because you got to have good noodle soup if you're going to be a guitarist.
What else? What other knowledge can you impart upon my rather washed up, need some new licks brain here?
The way that I always think is harmonically, right? That's the jam.
You think about a
Chord
harmonica?
tones.
No, sorry.
I think about a harmonica.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll be in music jail, and that's the only one they allow you. You know.
Yep.
What does the harmonica sound like?
Yeah.
Trying to think of prison songs. Not exactly. Nothing like that. But I'm always thinking in terms of chord tones. I can't really do it on the fly that well. But what I discovered is that you can kind of fake it a little bit and buy yourself a little more time by using chromatic passing tones.
Right.
And even if you're not super dialed into the harmony that's happening at any given moment, just practicing by walking in between scale tones is a good way to practice. So I'm like perpetually doing... just filling the space in between any two, yeah, that kind of thing. If nothing else, it just gives you more notes to play. Like, that's really lame and a kind of a weak way to look at it. But to me, phrasing is all about rhythm, okay?
Right.
And if you have the option of having more or less notes at any given moment, you can expand and contract the palette, or if you need a little extra time to get to that target note so that you land on the beat that you want, you can do that by like extending. So here's your chord, right? Just an A, right? Like if that's where I wanted to land that E note. just having some extra time to get there by sandwiching in some chromatic in between notes. Yeah, so you could kind of just use all the notes at any given moment and just, yeah. Here's another thing that I do all the stupid time. Just slide into the note from one below. Yeah.
I'm playing Trey's guitar, by the way. Do you notice that? Shh.
Yeah, this is a very nice guitar, but this is not quite my style.
Not quite as shred-tastic as this.
Although I'm not really into the green. But it's a sick guitar.
I'll just take it off your hands.
Oh, okay, good. So this all sounds pretty jazzy by itself. This is like what I like to call like 10-cent jazz. You know what I mean? Like, this is not the real deep jazz stuff, but adding just a little bit of chromatic jazzy stuff will make it sound really sophisticated.
Question, does it become jazz when you can explain it?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Because I know with like Django, I grew up on Django Reinhardt. My dad was classical music and jazz, predominantly classical music, but the jazz he loved was like Django Reinhardt, Joe Pass, and Ella Fitzgerald and stuff. And when you listen to Django, it was just, the gypsy jazz or whatever they wanted to call it. And then I had jazz guys saying, well, it's not really technically jazz because, and then they gave me all these different reasons. And I was like, sounded like jazz to me as a kid.
Ooh, that's a level of pretension I hope to never reach. Well, it's not technically. No, I'm out. I'm already done. I don't want to hear it.
All I can say is stay off YouTube.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, Django loved that kind of stuff, like these kinds of, let's see, bending the harmony and scale sounds with these little chromatic, almost circusy kind of things.
How'd you do that?
You're circling the chord tones. Right. Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I played an augmented chord.
I know, that's what I'm doing, yeah.
I could hear that, but I was like, that's not what I meant to do.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see if I was like...
Just give me a regular... Yeah. So all I'm doing is circling the chord tones with a half step on either side, okay?
Yep.
So it's just an A major triad.
Yep.
And then I circle the root, start on the root. And then I go to the third. Do it on the fifth, and that's it. And you can do this on a seventh chord. You could seven. Yeah. Doesn't really work. Oh yeah. You can do that with basically anything. Just another thing to sort of extend the harmony just a little bit, but it still fits because you're centering it around those chord tones. Because like I said in the beginning, caring about the harmony that's happening, the vertical harmony that's happening in any given moment is always the most important thing. But if that's the only thing that you care about, your songs will just be arpeggios.
What's wrong with that?
Don't tell Alex Nasla. He loves shredding arpeggios on the keyboard, and I'm constantly having to be like, what else you got?
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? He sat down and he just became the king of arpeggios on the keyboard.
Right.
So it's taking those chords and stretching them, and just adding peppering in little fun chromatic notes, dancing around it. That's what I like to do personally.
No, it's cool. Now, you were showing me a really cool warm-up exercise.
So this is my 2 minutes to go on stage warm up, oh my God, panic, because it incorporates a bunch of different stuff into a short thing. And when I'm done, I feel 85% ready to go.
And just because I'm cruel, you've got my guitar with heavier strings and a higher action.
Yes.
Rather than your lovely super light strings.
Yeah, I gotta sandbag it like that, otherwise I suck. So all it is, this is actually kind of a variation on a Kirk Hammett warm-up exercise, and all you're doing is you're gonna do a hammer-on. So first finger, and then middle finger, and then pinky, and then you're gonna skip a string and do it in reverse. And I like to do it pick and then what's this called? Hybrid, like a hybrid. And then you're gonna go back to that string that you skipped so he doesn't feel left out. And you're gonna do the same thing. Like, hey, why didn't you play me? And you do the exact same thing. Yeah, so you do that all the way across the neck.
Yep.
However many strings you got, 7, 8, doesn't matter.
22.
You just go all the way. And then you go down 1 fret, and you do the same thing in reverse. Yeah, and then you go down a fret and you do it, and you start over. And the idea is that you go lower and lower, and you get a nice stretch. The bigger the lower you go, the bigger the stretch becomes. Depending on the scale length of your guitar, it's gonna get it could get pretty gnarly on as you get down there. And by the time I'm done doing that, I usually feel pretty ready to play. And then I'll probably also do my favorite John Petrucci alternate picking chromatic exercise. I like this one a lot. This is from Rock Discipline, which if you play shred guitar, you probably have that DVD/book. So I know it seems like a lot.
What just happened?
There's just 2 shapes. It's just and then the reverse. That's not the actual exercise. Those are just the 2 patterns that we're going to use throughout the whole thing.
Sorry.
Yeah. God, Warren. So you just go up 1 fret and do it backwards. And then you go up 1 more fret and do it forwards again. Up twice.
I see why, because there's that... When you're doing those changeovers...
Oh, yeah. Yep, that magical and annoying major third between these 2 strings.
It's like 4th, 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 major third.
Yeah, makes perfect sense for chords and not for anything else.
Yep.
And then...
Oh,
and then we go... Yep.
All right, I gotta remember this one. So that's the changeover.
Yep.
That's so far the most difficult part to remember, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Same thing, just on the next 2 strings. That same thing again.
Whoa.
That same.
Wait, do it again.
So we did that, right? And then you go up and go backwards. Up 1 fret and do ascending. Sorry, I should use ascending and descending. That makes the most sense.
That's fine.
Because we just have the one ascending one and then descending, right?
Okay.
So it's the same thing we did here. Same as the changeover.
Okay.
Then we go down 4 strings, descending, same thing. And then we do that same changeover that we did before, but backwards. So now we're going to slide down a fret and go up. Yep, and then. And then we're right back to where we started.
Do it for me as slowly as you can.
Sure.
Nice.
But that just seems like an endless stream of notes. So the way that I break it down is like this. So we go ascending, 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 right? And then we do this, what you call the changeover, I like that, where you do descending, ascending, and then we go up. And we shift up 1 fret, and then we do 4 descending.
Yeah.
And then you do the changeover in reverse. So you go down, you scoot down and you go ascending. Then you scoot down again, you go descending. And then we just 2 descending down. So musically it makes 0 sense. It's just a circus noise of finger positions.
But it gets all the changes, all the change movements on the first finger going backwards and forwards, which is always a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And of course, articulation on the right hand.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. So because we're doing 4 notes per string, for each one, you get a nice, neat down, up, 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 down, for each, on each string, down, up, down, up. And if you want an additional challenge, aka if you hate yourself, you can do it. You can do it starting on an upstroke. Oh, hello.
Yeah,
and
I love that last note.
Yeah.
Whoa!
It's the hidden note. You have to get off the fretboard to find it. And it's, that's fun. But like, this is an exercise that I've been doing for...
Since you were knee-high to a grass?
Probably 15 years I've been doing this same exercise. The idea, when he presents it in the video and in the video, it's like a metronome thing. You set your metronome, you get it going as fast as you can do it perfectly, and then you're just racing with yourself. You're just doing laps. Yeah. And I think I got it up to like 220 BPM, like. Right now, I don't have it up to speed, and I'm not using the right pick.
Blight of the Fumblebee.
Blight of the Fumblebee, yeah. Exactly. And I mean, that was like a super formative video for me, Rock Discipline by John Petrucci.
Rock Discipline.
Rock Discipline.
Do you think I should get it?
I mean, I think everyone should get it. And you were a person and you play the guitar, so I say yes. I mean, I think it was like one of those REH videos, those old shredder ones, although I think it was the late 90s. Not a sponsor. They're not paying me anything. I wish I had a link.
But you actually do have a link, because you have...
I do have a link.
So let's talk about that, because that's a really cool thing, because, okay, so you taught guitar professionally for quite a few years.
Professionally. And the great thing about professionally is the only thing it takes to be a professional is that someone is willing to pay you to do it.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, they were willing to pay me American currency to teach them guitar. What started out as a single sheet about scales for my advanced students became basically a book's worth of stuff about scales for the guitar. And although it has yet to become an actual book made of paper,
which we're working towards.
Working on it. I'll get there eventually. Paper's kind of out. I appreciate that. And it became a course, a video course called Relationships, because it's about note relationships and shapes on the guitar. The guitar is a very unique instrument in that we have these shapes that are extremely consistent. It's not like, there's I guess stringed instruments in general have this idea that we can have these shapes that we can move, and the relationships between the notes will stay the same. It's just ye old bar chord, right? Yep. That's a major chord shape. If we scoot it up 3 frets, the relationships between the notes haven't changed. We've just moved everything as one. And you can do that with scales too. So the whole thing is sort of predicated on this same idea, and the consistency of the guitar. So I've developed a system. I can't be 100% certain, but I think it's a completely original take on scales for the guitar. And I've broken it down so far that I was able to teach like 8, 9-year-old kids how to play 3-note per string scales, because they're so consistent, and you can just follow these very simple rules and learn this one sequence, and you can play all of the modes of the major scale up and down the neck. So do you want me to give you just a little teaserino?
I'm going to have some of my elderflower tonic water because that's the kind of guy I am.
If he doesn't drink a certain amount of these, his accent goes away.
No, I have to keep drinking English kind of drinks. Elderflower, British, very British.
Yeah.
I have Scottish friends that love it.
One time he was trapped on a plane and he couldn't get any. And he got off the plane and he was like, "Hey, what's up? It's me, Warren Hewitt. Yeah. Oh no, my accent had melted away because I didn't get my elderflower drink." So the idea is that I've broken down scales into 3-note per string patterns. That's nothing new. Paul Gilbert, Steve Vai, all these dudes are using 3-note per string scales. But if you break them down into single string mini shapes, there is a limited number of them. And there's a pattern, a sequence that repeats exactly the same way every time going across the neck. I'm going to give you the short version.
Show me.
Which is that there are 3 mini shapes. Okay. Check this out. So here's one mini shape. This is mini shape number 1. It has the same name no matter where you play it, but it always looks like this. 1 fret in between each finger. So it's 2 whole steps from wherever you start. Okay. Right now we're in G. I like to play it with my first finger, second finger, pinky. 1, 2, 4. Mini shape 1. Here's mini shape 2. I remember it because it's the one that uses your the other one that uses your second finger.
Yep.
And then there's shape 3, which uses your third finger. Okay?
Great.
And if we take those 3 mini shapes and arrange them in the certain sequence, which is 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Say it.
1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
Right? So that's 7 numbers in the sequence.
Yep.
Okay? 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
Yeah.
So because there's 7 of them,
Dominant.
there's always going to be one missing.
A mixolydian.
A mixolydian. So what I played was a mixolydian scale.
Yep.
So what I've done is taken these individual mini shapes and given them numbers and then a letter. So because there's multiple of each one, in order to keep track of them, we give them a letter too. So there's 1A, 1B, 1C.
Okay.
2A, 2B, 3A, 3B.
Right.
And depending on which one of those you start on, we'll give you each one will give you a different mode.
Aha.
Now, and there's 2 rules that you have to follow because of the weirdness of the guitar tuning. If you tune in all fourths like Tom Quayle, you can ignore one of the rules, but most people probably won't do that.
How's he playing chords doing that, or is he just doing?
Very well, but I don't really understand how it works. But he's Tom Quayle, so
he's certainly not doing.
No, he just has different shapes.
Right.
But he plays, bonkers fusion stuff, so he's not like. He's crazy.
But he's not having to do the.
It takes away that problem. It's all fourths, so E, A, D, G, C, F.
Yep.
Anyway, but we're just gonna assume that you at home are not doing that, and neither are you, Warren Huart. So. I don't know what we just did, but it was rad.
It was good.
So, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Then 1A, 1B, 1C.
Yep.
2A, 2B. 3A, 3B.
Play it for me so I understand.
Sure. Well, so the thing is, you can never, unless you have a 7-string guitar or an 8-string guitar, you can't fit all 7 of them onto the fretboard. So it's always going to be one missing. But if we do 1A, 1B, 1C.
Yeah.
2A, 2B, 3A, and then it would be 3C. But then, we'll pick another one at random. We'll say 2B. Okay, so we start on 3A. So then we go, so it's 2B, 3A, 3B, and then it loops back around so that we're back at 1A, 1B, 1C. So that gives us the Phrygian mode, right?
Yep.
So, and any one of these that we start on is going to give us a different mode of the major scale. You just have to know which of those goes with which mode, and then you don't have to think about anything else. Once you get these patterns under your fingers, once you get the sequence, 1 1 1 2 2 3 3 under your fingers, and your fingers know it, you can just start on one of them and just go. You don't have to think about the numbers anymore. There's a period of time where I had to be like thinking about which number I'm on, where in the sequence I was. But now that I've just done it a bunch, I just know what's coming next. There was a period of time where I had to really be thinking about it. And if you're going to learn this scale system, then you also will spend that time.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely a shortcut rather than learning like, here's the Lydian shape. So there's G Lydian, right? And then you have to learn the G Mixolydian. Oh. That's the traditional way of learning 3-note per string scales. You just learn these complete mode shapes. But the problem with that is that it's not a consistent, complete thought. With this, the sequence never changes going this way across the neck. It's always that, no matter what mode you're in, no matter what key or scale or whatever, it's always the same. And there's also a sequence going up the neck, which I won't tell you because you have to get the course to do it. All of this stuff is breaking it down to the smallest possible chunks and looking at it in this really simple analytic way where everything is really consistent. Right. So as opposed to especially like the older kinds of scales. So there's 3 notes, and then 2 notes, and then 3 notes. Okay, that's how I learned scales. And the main problem is in the right hand. Because then you just have this one string where it's 2 notes, and then your picking gets turned around. And that sucks.
And also I don't like it. If you're doing a pattern like a... you're like, where do I go? I'm always like, what? And you end up just tying yourself in knots.
Yeah.
But I was always amazed because when I saw the Berklee books with the Aldo Meola stuff, he would be always playing it.
Right, just switch the fingering.
And he was like, boom! And his right hand was imperfect, but he was playing that.
Yeah. And you know what it is? Like, people get used to whatever thing they're used to, whatever you do a lot. And if somebody said, this is how scales are, this is how you play them, that's how you do it. Yeah. And the advantage to those kind of scales is that it keeps you in the same position. 3-note per string scale, you start here, and you wind up 2 positions higher. But that's the way the guitar is tuned. That's how it works. It's kind of a weird quirk, but that's just something that you get used to. Just like playing the scales the other way, you get used to that inconsistent number of notes per string. Obviously, I'm pretty biased. This is my system, and I like it a lot. That's how I think about the guitar. It's the pathways for me of the guitar. Scales are not music. You know this. You can't. You're not like making music with scales exactly. Right. To me, it's just knowing what the path is that you're of the notes available to you. Right. I'm not thinking about where in the scale I am, what scale I'm using. I've just learned the patterns, this sequence, and a bunch of different spots on the neck that it goes.
You're not thinking of like positions and chunks.
No, it's a complete thing. So and it works in any key. As a guy who doesn't improvise a ton, mostly I'm sitting down. I'm kind of composing my solos in a lot of ways.
Sure.
But
which seems to be almost everybody I've asked about this.
Yeah, well, I just don't really feel like I it can think about a lot of this stuff in real time, which is why I worked on it so hard in terms of knowing what I'm doing. Muscle memory takes over to a certain extent, and then I can try and think musically.
Sure.
And create melodies and that kind of stuff. But I do really like to sit down, hardcore, compose a solo, motifs.
Yeah.
Do interesting things related to the chords and that kind of thing, like we were talking about before, to me is more interesting and actually a little bit easier, because then you're not on the spot. But knowing scales, which once again, not music, just the kinds of, it just lays out possibilities for you as a player and as a composer. But what this really, really blew wide open for me was this idea that all the scales are essentially equal.
Right.
With this system, you don't have to learn each scale like it was its own individual thing. If you play the piano, you can't just take the C major scale and like move the same shape to C sharp and then play it. But on the guitar, you can 100% do that. Like, you know. And the relationships always stay the same as you move up the neck.
Sure.
So I don't really think of the scales as being different. They're the same, but just starting on a different pitch.
Sure.
And as guitarists, we are so lucky to be able to be that lazy. You know? Saxophone players don't get to do that. Like, you know?
Yeah, we just, as long as it's in A, you know, as long as it's in A, we can play in the middle of the neck. I really like this guitar, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Even in green, so thank you.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of how guitar players think. They have a couple easy keys. But the fact is, if you really break it down, there's no reason that any key on the guitar is any harder than any other one to solo in.
Right.
You just have to stop thinking of it in these kinds of blocks and the sort of the old-fashioned way. You know what I mean? And I personally think that looking at it like this is very freeing. It made my life a lot easier. Like infinitely easier. Like I basically taught it to myself. I almost made it like a thing, I was like, the hell with this. There's gotta be an easier way. And I found it. Here it is. Bada bing, bada boom.
Mr. Trey Xavier Zagaru.
Mr. Warren Huart here right now.
Huart here. Thank you ever so much. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course, there will be a description. Firstly, to multiple things. Gear Gods. If you're not already a subscriber, go and subscribe to Gear Gods. Apart from being a great guitar player, you're also pretty darn funny. There's some really, really good videos.
Oh, thanks.
Involving like playing guitar underwater, I think was one of the most famous ones. And
that was pretty silly.
That was a pretty silly one.
And just recently, I turned on 10 distortion pedals at once. And I'll just say that it took a left turn that there's no way that you could possibly see it coming. So I highly recommend you check that one out. It's probably the stupidest video on my channel, if nothing else.
Stupider than playing guitar underwater?
Yeah, definitely stupider. I mean, in general, what we do is sort of more serious gear demos and gear reviews and stuff. But every once in a while, I like to throw a real stupid curveball in there in this one. Yeah.
And of course, the course that Trey was talking about is available down here. There is a link. Go check it out. And book coming soon, one hopes.
One would hope.
Good.
Well, now two hope.
Two hope. Yes, well, 1, 2, and Eric. Trey hope. That was a Gonzalez joke. 1, 2, Trey.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. See you again all very soon. And, well, thanks again. And come back soon.
You're most welcome. I intend to.
Let's do another video in 10 minutes.
Sure.
That's it.
I think I got time.
Okay, good.
I think I'm free then.
Bye.